Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 18th of May and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper. We will take all the articles along with the background. Now, you can also download the explainer notes of this session from our Telegram channel. The link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Now, starting up, first of all, let's see the overview of the newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are actually important in the today's newspaper. So here we largely have the political articles. Okay, Sidramaiah is likely choice of high command. Okay, so Karnataka elections and the power, basically the political stakes in the state of Kerala, Karnataka are being discussed. Not important article with respect to the examination. Supreme Court gives time till August 14 to probe Hindenburg charges. So we have seen that recently Hindenburg, the short seller, has alleged that Adani's, they have been involved in stock pricing manipulation, accounting manipulation was there. So these things are being seen by a SEBI committee. Okay. Now moving on guys, after that particular thing, we have these advertisements and then city section, AK Singh to be Delhi's new service secretary. Okay, in the regional section guys, largely we have the regional political issues, okay, law and order related issues. Okay, so we will be moving in this particular direction and directly we come to editorial page. Now in editorial, the first article, two judgments, it is talking about recent Supreme Court judgment given for Delhi and Maharashtra. We take this article. Then on side we have this article where already, if you remember, yesterday we have seen Supreme Court has asked the center government that they should not use the central agency such as the Enforcement Directorate to instill a sense of fear in the political leaders. So article is saying that this is good thing. In past, ED has filed many of the cases of money laundering against the political leaders. Okay, and such kind of agency should not be used for political purposes. Fine. Then moving, a desperate Israeli leader plays a security card. Okay, we'll see this article. Then predictable counter. Okay, so basically, guys, what has happened? So recently, the US government has released a report on the religious freedom. Okay, so basically, what has happened, guys? As this particular report was released, India has condemned this report because the report said that in India, religious freedoms have been declined, but India has condemned that report and said that that report is not true. Okay, so the article is saying that it was already expected from India, that India will reject it and all such kind of things. However, guys, moving on, guys, in this particular direction, the article doesn't contains much of the relevant UPSC related substance, because understand this thing, government has already rejected the report and it is becoming now more of a kind of a political issue, political controversy, that is the right wing ideology such as the rise of Hindutva fine is leading to such kind of decline in religious freedom for other communities. So such kind of angles actually have opened up into the different domains. Okay, uh, so not that much important. Then further moving on, Kerala, an exemplary story in palliative care, a very good article with respect to the exam. We will be taking it up. Then the indirect impact of T20 on test cricket. For exam, much relevant substance is not there in this article. Then the text and context article, the latest China Canada kerfuffle. So basically, guys, what has happened recently? The Canadian government, they have declared a Chinese diplomat persona non grata. Persona non grata. What does this word means? Persona non grata. It is when asks an ambassador to leave the host country and to go back to their own country. Okay, and because of this particular thing, now the China also have asked a Canadian ambassador in the China that you should also leave and should go back to the Canada. Now what actually has happened, we have seen this particular thing, that basically the Canada is very much critical of the China's human rights. Okay, also because of this particular thing, this controversy has started. Okay, now what this particular article is talking about, this article is giving a kind of a timeline that okay, what Canada did first, then what, how China responded, then this or this statement was given by the China. All that timeline has been given for UPSC, guys. The article is not that much important, but just you need to understand this particular thing, that see, nowadays when the China is concerned, there is a particular word that is used in the context of the China, that is wolf warrior diplomacy. Fine, wolf warrior diplomacy. What is this wolf warrior diplomacy? It simply means that the today China has become more brash. China doesn't uses a subtlety in the diplomatic matters. They are outspoken. they are very much crude in the diplomatic matters. So as the Canada did that particular thing, China could have resolved that particular thing in a sensitive way, but the China has also done that particular thing. And this incident also shows the apparent divide between the West and China that has developed. Now, when we talk about the Canada has always been inclined too much in the favor of the USA, and as right now US-China relations are not going good, so China is also not tolerating any comments from even the allies of the USA, and this particular issue have begun. So guys, just as an example we can see it, but too much details of this particular thing, that what statement was given by Canada, then how China responded, all these things are not much important. Okay, so understand this particular thing. Then further moving on, what are why are financial regulators transitioning from LIBOR? We'll see this particular article for the examination. Then guys, this is a bibliography article. So in the bibliography article, what they do, they take certain books and they take the premises from these books. Okay, so today the premises of the three books, Mother, Where's My Country, The Mothers of Manipur, Crafting the World, it is being provided. Okay, now we have seen that in the past past 1 month, there is a lot of crisis, there is a lot of violence going on in Manipur because of the conflict between Meiteis and other scheduled tribe people. Meiteis were demanding ST status, but other tribals feel that Meiteis should not be given ST status because Meiteis are already political, economical, demographically dominant there. Fine. So this is something. Then further moving on, Supreme Court asked Manipur leader to show restraint. Fine. So as violence is going on, so such statements etc. should not be given. We guys don't have largely much of the important issues here with respect to UPSC examination. Then largely political articles are there. Moving on, take steps to reduce unnecessary fine hysterectomies, center tells state. We'll see this article for examination. Then cabinet gives approval for fertilizer subsidy of 1.08 lakh crore. Okay, so guys, when we talk about the subsidy of the center gives a lot of subsidy for fertilizer for agriculture, and particularly fertilizer subsidy bill of Indian government is around 2.25 lakh crore rupees per year, and out of that 1.08 lakh crore rupees have been issued for the Kharif season. Okay, then then moving on in this particular direction, key climate threshold likely to be breached. We'll see this particular article for the examination. Australia cancels Quad meeting in Sydney after US president pulls out. Okay, then moving on, center more than doubles outlay. We'll see this particular article. And then here, India EU explore ways of resolving carbon border tax. We'll see this particular article also. Then we have this sports page. So this is overview of the entire newspaper, and now let's discuss all relevant articles one by one in detail. Okay, so starting up, so this is the synoptic notes that I was telling you. You can download it from our Telegram channel. And how to reach that Telegram channel? Link for Telegram channel is given in description box in YouTube. Okay, now starting up. So today we'll take the quotation by Thomas Jefferson. Okay guys, one more thing I want to confess here, that sometimes, some days there will be few quotations that will be repeated as well. Why? There is a logic, there is a reason for that thing. And the reason is this: it's not something that you have, okay, see, you should be remembering some of the quotations which are very important for your examination, and for that particular thing we revise the important quotations also. So today we'll take the quotation from Thomas Jefferson. See, there is no logic reading thousands and you are not even remembering the 2-3. Why? Because we need to remember some of the quotations so that we can use in exam. Okay, so therefore we take some quotations which are important. Okay, Thomas Jefferson says information is the currency of democracy. Now, currency makes any economy, any country functional. And when we talk about a democracy, what makes democracy functional? Democracy is made functional by information. When we talk about a democracy, see, understand this particular thing, that information leads to, when we talk about the information empowers. If citizens will not have information about the government's functioning, if citizens will not have information about the welfare policies of the government, true empowerment can never happen. Information empowers, and empowerment is the true goal of the democracy. So information is therefore the currency of democracy, keeps democracy viable, and without information there can be no democracy. And in India, we have already brought the RTA, Right to Information Act, which is providing the free accessibility to information. Fine. Moving on, and let's start with the first article for today. Okay. So the first article that we are going to take, fine. The article, it says, why are financial regulators transitioning from LIBOR? Okay. Now understand this particular thing, guys, that first of all, you are not required to go too much into the technical nitty-gritties of this particular issue, that there was a scam that happened, which bank did the scam, all those things unnecessary, not important for exam. We need to understand the conceptual dimension of this particular thing. Okay. This article will see with respect to the GS paper number 3, issues related to the banking and economy, as well as in the prelims examination also, the keyword based questions such as asking the LIBOR could be asked. Okay. Now moving on, guys. So first of all, why this article has come in the news, let's understand. So Reserve Bank of India recently has provided this particular thing, that there are certain banks as well as financial institutions which are yet to facilitate transition from LIBOR. Fine. Now understand this particular thing. Basically, guys, the Reserve Bank of India wants to transition from LIBOR. Now, what is this LIBOR? Let's understand first of all this. So LIBOR, it stands for London Interbank Offered Rate. Now see this thing. It is an international benchmark interest rates. Now understand this thing, guys. Actually, the banks in the London, there is a particular interest rate at which they are borrowing the money from each other and at which they are lending the money to each other. And that particular interest rate becomes a benchmark for many of the other countries also. Other countries also take the help of the LIBOR, and on the basis of LIBOR, they decide what interest is to be charged on student loan, what interest is to be charged on the credit cards, what interest is to be charged on other kind of loans. Now, I will explain you the process. Basically, what happens, guys, there is a group of around 16 banks which are based in London. Every day, they send a proposal that this is an interest rate that we propose that it should be fixed for today. Okay. Now, guys, what will happen? The top highest 4 proposals and the lowest 4 proposals will be rejected. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. These 16 banks will proposal. For example, bank number 1 proposes that interest rate for today should be at 5%. Bank number 2 proposes that interest rate for today should be at 6%. So likewise, these 16 banks will give their recommendation that what should be the interest rate. Highest 4 and the lowest 4 will be rejected, and in between, on the basis of that, on those 8 proposals, there will be a kind of an average interest rate that will be calculated. Okay. Highest 4, lowest 4 will be rejected, and on the basis of this mid 8 proposals, an average interest rate will be chosen, and that particular interest rate will become the benchmark interest rate for that particular day. And that particular interest rate is also used by global financial institutions, and on that particular basis, they also give the interest rate for different categories of loan. Okay, so this is the LIBOR. LIBOR has been called as therefore London Interbank Offered Rate. London Interbank Offered Rate means the banks within London, the interest rate that they are offering. Okay, and it becomes a global benchmark. Okay, so basically, one more thing, guys, that when we talk about the LIBOR is calculated for each day. How it is calculated each day? These banks estimate the interest rate at which they will borrow funds from the other. Okay, and then these submissions are compiled and average rate is calculated. Now, since 2008, guys, there are many allegations that have been made against these participating banks. It is said that the banks, they are proposing the interest rate not on the basis of some economic parameters or some rational parameters. Rather, sometimes they are proposing the interest rate on their pure commercial interest. Now understand this thing, guys. This entire system works on the honesty of the banks, and it is expected that banks, now see, it is not like this that I will wake up in the morning and I will say, okay, keep this interest rate. Before that, you have to analyze the inflation, you have to analyze the economic indicators, and then the bank rate has this recommendations have to be given. But it has been said that there is a lot of issues with respect to, there are, understand, there are a lot of issues with respect to the reliability and the integrity of this LIBOR, the participating banks. Okay, it has been provided that they had their own commercial interest, and in that particular way they have recommended the interest rates. So therefore now the world countries, they are moving away from LIBOR to some other kind of system, and therefore what has happened, the USA has proposed secured overnight financing rate. Okay, India has proposed modified Mumbai interbank forward outright rate. Okay, now it will be based on the repo rate. Okay, now guys, you know already what is repo rate. Repo rate is that rate at which the banks borrow money from the Reserve Bank of India or the central bank. Fine, the cost of borrowing cash, fine. On these particular kind of indicators, this modified Mumbai interbank forward outright rate is proposed by India. USA proposes secured overnight financing rate, and now the countries are transitioning from LIBOR either to SOFR, that is secured overnight financing rate, or they have to transition to the modified Mumbai interbank forward outright rate. Other countries have also proposed their own systems. Now, when we talk about the Reserve Bank of India, so basically Reserve Bank of India in 2020, the Reserve Bank of India has asked banks to assess their LIBOR exposure, and they have asked for adoption of the alternative reference rates. Okay, and in 2023 now this particular transition is to be completed. Okay, this particular transition is to be completed. So after June 30, after the June 30, the Indian banks cannot use the LIBOR. Okay, so for that particular thing, many of the banks still have not made an arrangement. This was the Reserve Bank of India's report that has come. Okay, so this is all guys about this particular issue. Now moving on to the next article. Okay, there's one question, sir, please tell me how to cover current affairs backlog, because due to illness I was missed. Okay, I have missed. Guys, in this respect I will give you just one recommendation, that if you have missed few days, you can follow some compilation, current affair compilation, but I will not advise you that okay, if you have missed 30 days, then go back and watch the 30 videos. Okay, what you have missed, no issues, cover it from some kind of a compilation, or you can just read the synoptic notes for those things. Okay, and now from today you should be regular. Now moving to next article, key climate threshold likely to be breached in 5 years, United Nations. Okay, now what this particular article guys is all talking about. So world metro, now this article first of all will be important for GS paper number 3. GS paper number 3, issues related to the climate change, as well as GS paper number 1, geographical phenomena and their impact on the world. Now this particular, what has happened, World Meteorological Organization, WMO, World Meteorological Organization, which is under the United Nations, has issued a report, and in that particular report it is saying that now the impact of climate change, impact of rising temperatures is being felt more and more in the world. So there are certain findings by WMO. Let's see these particular findings. Number one finding says this particular thing, that it is very much certain that year between 2023 to 27, these will be the warmest 5-year periods that are ever recorded. Now up till now guys, 2016 was the warmest ever period. Now it is being said that 23 to 27 will be the warmest 5-year period, and between 23 to 27 there will be the 1 year which will even break the record of 2016, because 2016 was the warmest year. Okay, now the WMO says this particular thing, that greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide, methane, that we have emitted a lot. Now these particular gases, they are because of that particular gases concentration which has increased, the average temperatures of the earth has increasing. So because of the greenhouse gases addition, because of the El Nino, find what will happen, the temperatures will go up. Now according to WMO, there are 2/3 chance, that is there are 66% chance that within the next 5 years, that is 23 to 27, fine, that at least 1 year out of these 5 years will see global temperatures exceed the more ambitious target that is set out into the Paris Accords. Now what does it mean in the very simple words? So basically in 2015 there was Paris Agreement that was signed. In this Paris Agreement, the countries, they pledged that we will ensure that the temperature, global temperature, doesn't increases 2 degree more than pre-industrial level, and if possible, we'll try that the global temperature should not exceed more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. So 2 degrees Celsius they will try, but if possible, they will try to restrict the temperature, global temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius and below. So this 1.5 degrees Celsius was more ambitious target that was taken by the Paris. Now the WMO says this thing that there is a 66% possibility that within the next 5 years, in one of the year, the global temperature will breach this particular limit. Now already already basically guys, it has been provided that if we talk about 2022, if we talk about the temperatures, global mean or average temperatures in 2022, we have already reached 1.15 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial, above the 1850 to 1900 average. Okay, so 1.155 degrees Celsius temperature already has been increased, and there is a possibility that between 23 to 27 the average temperature will go above 1.5 degrees Celsius also. This is a possibility according to WMO, World Meteorological Organization. Okay, I have already told you that the hottest years that have been recorded till now, see, 2016 was the warmest year. 2016 was the warmest temperature year, and 2015 to 2022 were the warmest 8 years, and now the warmest 5 years will be between 23 to 27. So we are breaking our own records every coming year. Okay, then further moving on guys in this particular direction, further it is also being said that the El Nino will play a very important role. So El Nino will develop in the coming months, okay, and El Nino and human induced activities such as more and more greenhouse gases will lead to it. Okay, so basic, you might have read about the El Nino in the geography also. What it is the large scale warming of the surface temperatures in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific Ocean, and when there is an El Nino year, the monsoons, rains in the Indian subcontinent will also be impacted, and therefore the summer temperatures in the El Nino year over the Indian subcontinent will be very high. Fine. This is the WMO report. Now guys, understand this thing. What will be utility of this article? There will not be a direct question which will ask that, okay, on 18th of May there was an article in the Hindu newspaper which talked about WMO report, explain it. No, such kind of question will not come. The question might be on climate change, where you have to substitute your answer with some facts, some data, some reports. So there we can use this particular fact, data and report. Okay, now moving to the next article. Take steps to reduce unnecessary fine hysterectomies, center tells states. Now basically guys, what where this particular article will be important, this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues related to health as well as issues related to the social justice. Now first of all, understand what is this hysterectomies. What are they? This is the surgical procedure. This is a surgical procedure to remove the uterus from the women's body. To remove the women's uterus. Now guys, understand this particular thing. Often the women who have attained menopause, fine, often they develop cysts and many such complications, and because of that particular thing, the doctors advise that you should surgically remove your uterus. Now understand, and that procedure is called as the hysterectomies. Now the problem is that many of the cases the doctors are recommending these surgical operations even when there was not a proper need, fine, and therefore such unnecessary surgical procedures are being imposed on the women, particularly who are uneducated, particularly who are coming from the poor background. Okay, because of this particular thing guys, what actually has happened, Supreme Court took account of this particular development, and they instructed the states and the union territories that they need to immediately implement the health guidelines, okay, and unnecessary fine hysterectomies should be stopped. Because Supreme Court gave this particular direction, now the government had implemented the Supreme Court directives, and central government, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare have asked the Ministry of Health have asked the states that they need to take the steps that such unnecessary surgical procedures are not being imposed. Now you need to understand that why doctors are carrying these unnecessary surgical procedures, why they are removing the uterus, why they are carrying these fine uh, hysterectomies. Why? Because you see this particular thing, there is this Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. Understand this thing. So Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana is an health insurance that is provided by the government to the BPL families as well as to the families, BPL families in the unorganized sector. This is a health insurance program. Under this particular health insurance program, a smart card will be provided to the eligible families, and they can take the medical procedures, they can take the medical assistance in private as well as public hospitals. Okay, now what is happening when the women having the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, when they are reaching the private hospitals, even when they are reaching the government hospitals, in order to get money, in order to get reimbursed, these unnecessary procedures are being imposed on them. So recently, a petition, the petition that was filed, it has said that in Bihar, Chhattisgarh, and Rajasthan, these hysterectomies were carried to take the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana benefit. Now, women don't understand this particular thing. Women don't need the benefit. Women often they are uneducated. Women often they are poor. They don't understand that whether it was necessary to remove the uterus or not. What happened? They go to the doctor because they have some complication. Doctor recommend that we need to remove your uterus. Okay, and in turn they take the women's smart card which is given to them under the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. They will do that operation and then they will claim the money from the government. But actually it was not needed. So therefore this is being happening. So several healthcare institutions, they are misusing the procedure only to claim expenses under the various health insurance schemes offered by the government, including the Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana, under Ayushman Bharat Yojana. Fine, also 5 lakh rupees benefit is given. So there also misuse is happening. Now it is being observed, it has been observed that typically these hysterectomies, they are conducted onto the women who have attained the menopause, the women above the 45 years of age. Why? Because guys, if your uterus is removed, how you will conceive a child? How you will conceive a child? So usually it is carried only on those women who have attained their menopause or premenopause. But it is actually being said that even in some of the states, the women between the age of 28 to 36 years of age, they on them also these hysterectomies are being conducted. So then they can never become mothers. Fine. So this is guys the entire issue that has come. Supreme Court has also observed that right to health is an intrinsic right under Article number 21, right to life and personal liberty, and it is to be enjoyed in all of its diverse elements. Okay, and women who are imposed of these unnecessary hysterectomies, their Article number 21 is getting violated. They can never be mothers. The motherhood of these women will also be impacted. Okay, so this is all about this particular issue. Fine. I hope guys that you have understood it. It also becomes an ethical issue in the biomedical ethics. Fine, the doctors imposing unnecessary procedures even when it was not needed. So it becomes a biomedical ethical issue as well. GS paper number 4. Now moving to next article. Two judgments and the principle of accountability. Two judgments and the principle of accountability. So this particular article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2 issues related to polity. GS paper number 2 issues related to polity. Now basically in these two articles guys, what is happening, the author is analyzing two of important judgments given by Supreme Court. One judgment was in context of Delhi government and other judgment was in the context of the Maharashtra government. Fine. If you are following newspaper analysis regularly, you might have seen it already in the newspaper, because I think we have discussed it at least 3-4 times in the past 10-12 days. Fine. So the article is again on that particular line. Fine. So basically, the article says that the Constitution Bench of the Supreme Court recently delivered these important judgments. Now, the first judgment was in the matters of, the first judgment was with respect to the Delhi government. Now, let me explain you what was the controversy here. So, in the case of the Delhi government, there was a controversy between the Delhi government and between the position of Lieutenant Governor on the matters of control over the civil servants. So Delhi government said that the civil servants, bureaucrats, their transfer, their posting, their matters of promotion, everything will be controlled by the Delhi government, elected government, that is the Aam Aadmi Party government. But the lieutenant governor says that the control of the bureaucrats will be into the hands of the lieutenant governor. Now we know this thing that the lieutenant governor is appointed by the central government. Okay, so therefore it is said that the lieutenant governor is actually the agent of the center, and if lieutenant governor will have control on the matters of the civil servants, then indirectly it means that the central government is controlling the bureaucracy into the Delhi. Now Delhi government said that then the legislative assembly will become meaningless. Fine, what is the work of legislative assembly even if they can't control the bureaucrats? Moreover, Delhi government has this problem. They said that every department had a civil servant, fine, who will be heading that particular department. And if the central government or lieutenant governor will give the instruction to the civil servants, that it means that in every department, whatever the central government or whatever the lieutenant governor want, that will happen. Delhi government will lose all its power. So Delhi government said that they will control civil servants. The lieutenant governor said that the lieutenant governor and central government will control the civil servants. So who will control it? That matter reached to the Supreme Court. And Supreme Court had said that the elected government, elected Delhi government, they will control the civil servants. This is one thing. Then second issue was with respect to the formation of the current government. Okay, now I have discussed this matter of the formation of current Maharashtra government multiple number of times. Fine, I will discuss little bit here again also. So basically, first of all, the article is analyzing these two judgments. Now, first of all, we will discussing only the first one, that is the Delhi judgment. So the article says this particular thing, that when we talk about the Delhi's judgment, Supreme Court has recognized that Delhi is a union territory. It has its own legislature, and certain powers have been given to the Delhi government as per Article 239 AA. So Delhi will have elected government, it will have its legislature, it will have its own cabinet. Okay, and it has been said that Delhi government can make the laws on the matters of the state list, but they cannot make laws on the three subjects, that is police, fine, police, land, and or public order and public order. On these three things they cannot make rules, and apart from that, on any matter of the state list they can make the law. Fine. So the Supreme Court recognized that Delhi is a union territory with a legislature, and their demarcations where they can make the law, it is provided in Article 239 AA. This Supreme Court judgment provides that actually there is a triple chain of command, and this triple chain of command is to be respected. For example, civil service officers, bureaucrats are accountable to minister. They are accountable to minister. Okay, see, ministers are of the government only, and if they are accountable to minister, it means they are accountable to the government. Okay, so triple chain of command. Civil servants are accountable to minister. These ministers are actually accountable to the legislature, and the legislature is accountable to the electorate. So electorate is the most important. The electors are the most important authority. This triple chain of command should not be broken. Now see this particular thing. If the civil servants would have been accountable to LG, now LG is not an elected person. LG is an appointed position, and as LG is not elected directly by the common, how the public will then take the accountability of the LG? So therefore, this triple chain of command is the most important. Civil service officers are accountable to minister, ministers are accountable to legislature, and legislature is accountable to electorate. This particular rule was observed by the Supreme Court, and any disconnect here will not be tolerated. Now, when we come to the context of the Maharashtra judgment, so basically guys, let me explain you in just 30 seconds that what happened in Maharashtra, and then we will go in this particular judgment. So basically guys, when we talk about the Maharashtra State Legislative Assembly needs at least 145 seats. Fine, in Maharashtra State Legislative Assembly, any party, if they want to form the government, they need minimum 145 seats. 145 seats. Okay. Now we saw this particular thing that the Shiv Sena along with the NCP, Congress, they made the government there. Okay. Now within the Shiv Sena, there was a particular faction of the Shiv Sena which was led by Mr. Eknath Shinde. So Eknath Shinde basically was not very much happy with the policies of the Uddhav Thackeray, who was the chief minister of the Maharashtra. Now Eknath Shinde said that basically Eknath Shinde, he mustered the support of more than 40 MLAs, okay, around 47 MLAs support he took, and they said that we don't want to support the real Shiv Sena. We don't want to support this particular Shiv Sena. Rather, we in ourselves are the real Shiv Sena, okay, and now we want to give up a support to the BJP. So these 40 MLAs, they wanted to give support to BJP. Now understand this thing, BJP already had 105 seats. Now to form the government, you need 145 seats. BJP already had 105 seats. Now the Eknath Shinde, along with these 40 plus MLAs, they joined the hand with the BJP, and now they have the sufficient majority. They have sufficient majority. What happened now? The Eknath Shinde asked the governor that, okay, you please see that whether the Uddhav Thackeray is still having the confidence in the house or not. So governor asked the Uddhav Thackeray to come and prove the confidence on the house. Mr. Uddhav Thackeray resigned before proving the vote of confidence. And then Eknath Shinde said that we have adequate numbers, we can form the new government. We have adequate numbers, we can form the new government. So basically new government was formed in Maharashtra. Now all these particular things were challenged in the Supreme Court. Now what has happened? Supreme Court first of all provided this particular thing that governor was wrong in calling Mr. Uddhav Thackeray to take a floor test. It was said that the governor did not had sufficient substance with himself, that the Uddhav Thackeray has lost the faith of the confidence of the house. Okay, he just acted on the faction led by Eknath Shinde. Okay, so that was not correct. Fine, but the Supreme Court also said that we can't do anything. Why? Because Uddhav Thackeray resigned before facing the confidence of the house, so we cannot bring him as the chief minister also. There was also the issue that came that basically two factions of the Shiv Sena, they issued contradictory whips. Now, when we talk about, guys, the Shiv Sena, there is one section of the Shiv Sena which is being led by the Uddhav Thackeray, and other section of the Shiv Sena which is led by Mr. Eknath Shinde. Okay, now the Shiv Sena, the party Shiv Sena, they issued a whip. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. Basically, every political party has a whip officer. Who is a whip officer? Whip officer will be the one who will be instrumental in ensuring the discipline in the party. Now, guys, understand this thing, that one particular party has to have a kind of a singular vision on important party matters. Now see this particular thing. Whip will ask the members that, okay, in this way you have to vote, in this way you don't have to vote. So whip officers issue the instruction to all the members of the party how they need to behave, what type of matters they need to vote positive, what type of matters they need to vote negative. Now understand this thing. So basically there is one whip which is the whip of the political party. Now see this particular thing. So political party's whip asked the members that please don't vote, please. Now let me explain you. So understand this thing. There is Uddhav Thackeray section, and then there is Eknath section. Okay. Now this Eknath section, there they have support of more than 40 plus MLAs. Okay, when we talk about the Uddhav Thackeray faction, they said this particular thing, that we might not have that much support into the legislature, but we are the original whip. So even there are two type of whips. One whip issued by Uddhav Thackeray, one type of the whip issued by the Eknath Shinde. Whose whip will be important here? Whose whip will prevail here? So basically, the question that was considered by the court was that which faction had the right to appoint the leader and the whip. Fine. See, there is the legislature party. Understood? A minute. Fine. So there is the legislature party, and then there is a political party. Now 10th schedule makes a differentiation between the legislature party and the political party. The legislature party includes all the MLAs, MPs belonging to the party. Okay, and when we talk about the political party, basically political party includes the MPs and MLAs who, sorry, not the MPs and MLAs. The political party whip includes even the members who are not in the house at that point of time. So point is that whose whip will prevail. Now here the Eknath Shinde said this particular thing, that whip will prevail of the party who is in the house. They will say that the legislature party's whip will prevail. But Supreme Court said another thing. Supreme Court said this particular thing, that see, there is a party, In party, there will be a party president. In party, there will be a party president. Now the party and the party president, they are choosing every person that these people will be given the ticket. Okay, they will choose, for example, 50 people they have appointed who will be given the ticket. Now out of these 50, let's say 30 of them, they have won the election and now they are sitting in the legislative assembly. Okay, now basically these 30 people who are sitting in the legislative assembly, they say that they are the one who will decide the whip. They are the ones who will decide the whip. Okay, and this is the legislative party whip. What is a political party whip? Political party whip means that it will include them, it will include the other members also. Find the political party, the parent organization, the president of the political party, the chairman of the political party, they will choose the whip. Now, the Eknath Shinde faction, they said this thing that this particular whip, that is the legislature party whip, will be important. But Supreme Court said that no. Actually, the political party is the one who is taking the risk, who is choosing the candidate, that who is to be given ticket, who is not to be given to the ticket. The members are fighting the election on the basis of the ideology of the political party. If they win election, then the political party's good will be improved. If they don't win the election, then the political party's good will be impacted. So every time you are dependent on the political party. Okay, but now you say that political party's whip is not important. No, we can't allow that particular thing. According to them, the Supreme Court, political party whip is important and legislature party whip will be not that much important. So it means that Eknath Shinde, the whip that they appointed, will not prevail here. Okay, now here guys, if we see, the article is saying this particular thing. The article is saying this particular thing, that here we see that the Supreme Court judges have made a kind of a contradictory judgment. They say this particular thing. They say this particular thing, that in this matter, okay, the triple chain of command is broken down. Triple chain of command is broken down. Why? Because now you are saying legislative party is not important. Now legislative party is the party which constitutes the MPs and MLAs who have been elected. Okay, now you are not giving importance to them. You are giving importance to the political party. So here you have broken the triple chain of accountability. Okay, now further it is being said that into the matter of the Delhi, judges had basically no choice. Okay, in the matter of the Delhi, what they have done, judges have to fulfill the constitutional gaps. But in the case of the Maharashtra, they were just interpreting the 10th schedule. And in interpreting the 10th schedule, what 10th schedule provided, they ruled. And according to that, the political party's whip will be more important, and they have given that particular decision. Is it clear or not? Fine. This is all about this particular entire issue. Now, one thing guys, understand this particular thing, that fine, are you really required to go too much in detail in this particular article? See, we are reading or we are preparing for UPSC examination. We are not preparing for the law exam. And as that is the issue, I will advise you that guys, please don't go too much in detail in so much of the hairline details. Fine, just understand the spirit of Maharashtra judgment, the spirit of the Delhi judgment. And that issue already we have discussed. Fine. But too much of nitty-gritties you are not required to go and track. Fine. Now moving to the next article. Okay. So there is this article, Kerala, an exemplary story in palliative care. Fine. We'll see this particular article with respect to GS paper number 2, issues related to the health. Okay. Now, guys, one concept, please understand this thing, that in the context of health, there is preventive health. Preventive health focuses on ensuring that a person doesn't get ill in the first place. Then there is curative health. Curative health is one when a person has got ill and then that particular person is to be treated. That is curative health. Well, see, let's take example of COVID-19. So you should wear a mask, you should maintain social distancing, you should maintain proper hand hygiene. Fine. Why? So that you don't get infected with the COVID in the first place. This is the preventive care. Okay, giving you vaccine is preventive care. Curative care, suppose a person got infected with the COVID, then that particular person is being given medicine, therapies, treatments. That is curative care. Preventive care, curative care, and then there comes the palliative care. Palliative care. Now what is this palliative care word? Palliative care is given to those people, or see, understand this thing, there are certain types of cancers, there are certain types of cancers, there are certain type of diseases in which a particular person can never be treated. There is no possibility that a person will recover. That particular person will live for, let's say, 2, 3, 4 years. Now, the time that particular person is living, the quality of life becomes very poor. the person is on very high on very high doses of medications, a particular person is in a lot of pain, a person is facing a lot of mental trauma. So palliative care focuses on improving the quality of the life of the people who are on some terminal illness. Fine, suppose Mr. X has cancer, Mr. X will be able to live only for 3 years. But within these 3 years, improve the quality of life of that particular person. That is the focus of the palliative care. Now, the WHO, World Health Organization, considers palliative care as an important approach to improve the quality of life of patients. Fine, the families. Now, often, guys, when the patients are suffering with the terminal disease where there is no treatment, their families also suffer a lot. Fine, in taking care of those people. So, good palliative care will give good quality of life to the patients, to their families. Okay, and fine, this is something. Now, in 2018, Lancet Commission on Palliative Care, Lancet Commission on Palliative Care and Pain Relief refers to such conditions as serious health related suffering. Okay, so particular person suffering the terminal disease where there is no treatment. Terminal diseases, there can be certain cardiovascular disease, there can be certain types of cancer, there can be certain kinds of chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases which cannot be treated. Okay, so therefore palliative care for them becomes even more important. Okay, and when we talk about the palliative care, Lancet provides this particular thing, that physical care, social care, spiritual care, emotional care, fine, and medical intervention, all of them are to be provided. Okay, now the article says this particular thing, that more than 80% of individuals who are experiencing any health related suffering in 2015, they were from low and middle income countries. So 80% of individuals who are suffering serious health problems, they are coming from the low and middle income countries. Why? Because here there is the maximum of the population that is living. Now, when we talk about India, guys, what is an average percentage of the people who are getting the palliative care? 4%. Just 4% of the people in India are getting the palliative care, and that is also in just of some mega cities such as Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, etc. Fine. So point is that palliative care is missing in India. But in there, but here, if we see the example of Kerala, Kerala has been a state which has provided a very good palliative care to their own citizens. Fine. Now understand that the starting of the palliative care in the Kerala had begun from 1993. So in 1993, Dr. M.R. Rajgopal, fine, and his student Dr. Suresh Kumar, they started to provide the palliative care, and they started the pain relief clinics. Pain relief clinics. These clinics were started for terminally ill cancer patients. Terminally ill means that these treatments, possibility of recovery is not there. Okay, they started it, and since then these palliative care clinics, they have increased, and they mushroomed to more than 400 community palliative care organizations across Kerala. So this is a basically this is a voluntary initiative that has been started, where the nurses, teachers, doctors, they come and they treat the people. Fine, fine. All these particular things has been provided. Now, here volunteers from different social groups, fine, they contribute. And actually, guys, what has happened, by seeing the success of this community driven program of the palliative care, fine, in 2004 the organizers felt that even state government should participate. And actually what happened, the state government also took a lot of interest in that, and in 2008 palliative care policy was announced by Kerala government. So now there is the community participation for palliative care. There are the organizations, civil societies providing palliative care, and in 2008 the palliative care policy of Kerala government has also been announced. So the palliative care actually has improved, and the people who are suffering for spinal injuries, HIV, AIDS, fine, all these people, geriatric issues. Now see, what are the geriatric cases? Geriatric care mean the care that is given to the old age person. So a person who has achieved the age of 70, 80 years, they will be needing some medical care. That is the geriatric care. So in geriatric care, in HIV, AIDS, in certain types of cancers, the palliative care is being provided in Kerala. Now, even the Kerala provided a lot of palliative care to the people who suffered 2018 flood also. And during the COVID-19 also, a lot of palliative care was given to the patients who are suffering with severe COVID. Okay, so because of this particular thing, the approach and the coverage of palliative care in Kerala has been very good. Now, the article gives us certain data. The article says this particular thing, that if we talk about the how many people are getting palliative care worldwide, So the palliative care coverage in worldwide is just 14%. So 14% of the patients who need palliative care, they are actually receiving it. But into the context of Kerala, it is 60%. So 60% people who need palliative care, they are getting it. Fine. For Pan India, we have the 4%. But in the case of Kerala, it is 60%. So point is that we can learn from this Kerala's model, and the Institute of Palliative Medicine in Kozhikode, fine, and Pallium, fine, in Trivandrum are important and nodal organizations which are organizing training, which are sensitizing the society. Fine. So this shows that how this is, guys, another side of the Kerala story, which shows that how much keen, how much careful the government of Kerala is when it comes to public health. So a very, very good case study of Kerala, which can be used in your GS paper number 2. It can also be an example of an ethical caregiving state. GS paper number 4 also we can use it. Even the question has already come on GS paper number 4, where they have asked that what do you mean by an ethical caregiving state? Fine. So we can use it in. So that is all, guys, about it. I hope that you have understood it. Okay. Guys, any doubt here? Good morning. Good morning. Sir, this is sufficient for CSE exam. Dear, what do you mean? Please write again properly. Sir, please call my name once. Okay, Gaurinath. Good. Chalo, moving on to the next article. Okay, so here we have this article. A desperate Israeli leader plays a security guard. Now, guys, see, here I have given you the gist of this particular article, but actually, please don't go and read this particular article. Why? See, this particular article is talking about, see, recently there was a conflict going on. Okay, so there was a 5-day conflict going on. See, there was a conflict going on from few days between Israel and Palestine. Now, guys, when we talk about the Israel-Palestine issue, this issue has been very, very long, and regular crossfires, attacks, shootings, fine, here in Gaza, here in these particular regions, it happens. So recently, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict was going on here in the Gaza again. Now, it particular thing has been ended on a ceasefire. Okay. Now the article is giving an account that how many, basically the article is saying this particular thing, that targeted assassination of 6 commanders happened. Okay, 250 Israeli airstrikes were carried. Okay, how many people died, how many people injured. These kind of accounts have been given. Fine, which is not very much important. How? Yes, when we talk about the Israel-Palestine issue, and India's stand on to the Israel-Palestine issue, that is a static part of the international relation, that you should know. But this attacks, how many airstrike, how many people were killed, all these things are not important. Further, the article is talking about the Benjamin Netanyahu, that how Benjamin Netanyahu is trying to consolidate his power, how he is trying to bring the judicial reforms by which his power will be increased. All those things have been given. So article doesn't contain much of the substance. Why? Because understand this particular thing, that when we talk about any issue, internal political issues within the governments, within the countries are not important. Those issues are important which will have some impact on India. Okay. Then moving on here, coming to the next article, center more than doubles outlay for PLI for IT hardware to 17,000 crore. Now, what is this PLI? This issue we'll see with respect to the GS paper number 3 economy. Fine, as well as we can see this particular thing. We can recommend the PLI as an important scheme for improving the manufacturing sector output in India. PLI stands for the Production Linked Incentive Scheme. Under Production Linked Incentive Scheme, 2 to 4% of incentives is given on incremental sale, on investment that is done into the domestic manufacturing capabilities, etc. Now understand this thing. Basically, the article says this thing, that what has happened, the electronics manufacturing in India has been a very good one. There has been a 17% CAGR. CAGR stands for compound annual growth rate in electronics manufacturing. And as there is a so good 17% CAGR growth rate, compound annual growth rate in the electronics manufacturing sector, government has decided that we will give more money for the promotion of the electronic manufacturing sector. So 17,000 crore rupees have been allocated, that will be given to the manufacturing sector under the PLI scheme. Fine. You are not required to remember it was 17,000 or 18,000 crore. Now, let's understand some of the points with respect to the PLI scheme. So guys, in this particular article, just this box is one which you need to see. Beyond that, nothing. So what is PLI? PLI schemes for IT sector. Now see, PLI is for IT sector, PLI is for solar modules, fine, for automobiles also PLI is there. So PLI covers many sector. When we talk about the PLI for IT sector, fine, information technology, hardware sector, this scheme provides 4% in incentive for incremental investment in domestic manufacturing for eligible firms. Fine. For example, Dell. Dell is a company which is making the IT hardware, okay, electronic, basically IT hardware it is making. If they will do some additional investment, okay, so 4% of incentives will be given to them. Okay, now it has been, see, this was a 4% was earlier was being given. Now this 4% has been raised to 5%. Okay, fine. How? If they are also using the domestically produced components. For example, if making computers, they are using the domestically produced components, that incentive of 4% will be increased to 5%. Okay. Okay. So these incentives have been given. Now guys, one more thing, see, this is a 5% additional incentive that is being given. So apart from 4%, 5% additional will be given to them. So by this particular thing, total 8 to 9% incentive they will receive. Okay. Then moving to next article, India EU. Okay, one more thing I want to clarify while reading this particular article, guys. See, how many percentage is being given? Okay, these things are not asked in the examination. Okay, that earlier it was 4%. Now apart from 4%, 5% optional is being given. These things are not asked. Basically, you should know these particular broad contours of the scheme, so that when you are writing an answer on the manufacturing sector of India, you can give the reference of the scheme here. Okay. Now, India EU explore ways to resolve the carbon border tax. Now, what this entire issue is all about? First of all, let's understand this particular issue. Basically, guys, the European Union, they have come out with this concept of the carbon border tax. They say this particular thing, see, that basically under the carbon border tax, they have identified certain of the commodities that European Union is importing, but while manufacturing these commodities, there is a lot of carbon emission that is made. For example, guys, for example, let me give you example. Steel is there, steel is there, fine, aluminium is there, cement is there. While manufacturing them, there is a lot of carbon emission that is made. Now, what European Union says? European Union proposes this carbon border tax. They say this particular thing, that if the importers in European Union, they are importing these high carbon intensive products, and if they have used a lot of energy, then there will be this additional carbon border tax that will be imposed. Okay. Now, how it will impact India? Understand this particular thing. European Union is India's second largest trading partner, as well as European Union is India's second largest export market. And when we talk about the commodities on which this new carbon border tax is being imposed, fine. So the article says that there will be about 6 to 7 commodities on which this particular tax will be imposed. But out of that, steel and aluminium is one where India will feel the most impact. Why? Because India exports large amount of steel and aluminium to European Union. Now guys, understand this particular thing. I'll give you one example. See, this is European Union, and European Union wants to import steel. They wants to import steel. Okay. Now they have option that they can import steel from US, they can import steel from India. Now I will just give you a very simple example. Now see this thing. Suppose in US, 1 ton of steel, 1 ton of steel in US is 1200 rupees. Okay. But in India, 1 ton of steel is, let's say, 1000 rupees. Now the importer will obviously be importing the steel from India. Why? Because here it is 1000 rupees. Very good. But while making the steel, now see, USA, let's say, has advanced technologies. Okay, and they are not doing that much carbon emission. Let's say to make 1 ton of steel, USA emits 10 unit of carbon. But India, for that same thing, India, let's say, emits 20 unit of carbon. Now this new carbon border adjustment tax, when it will come, what will happen? Now the European Union, if they are importing from India the steel, and if in India the steel is used by emitting so much of the carbon, then there will be an additional custom duty, there will be an additional tax that will be imposed when this particular Indian steel will enter into the European Union markets. Now let's say earlier the customs were, let's say, 100 rupees flat. I'm just giving example. So earlier, if the European Union have imported the US steel, it would have costed 1200 rupees, 1200 rupees plus 100 rupees, 1300 rupees, 1300 rupees. But if they have imported Indian steel, it would have costed 1000 rupees plus 100 rupees, that is 1100 rupees. So obviously they were importing earlier, the Indians. But now this additional tax have will imposed. Now they will say that apart from this 100 rupees, 300 rupees more we will charge. Why? Because you are importing steel from a country which has a lot of carbon emission. So what will happen? What will be the pricing of Indian steel here? So 1000 rupees base price was there, 100 rupees earlier custom duty, and now 300 rupees more this carbon adjustment tax that will be imposed. So Indian steel will be somewhere around 1100, 1400 rupees. Okay, and US steel is at 1300. So obviously now the importer will import from USA and not from India. So Indians therefore will be impacted, and in the steel and aluminium, India will be impacted a lot. So therefore, from the time when this carbon border tax has been proposed by European Union, India has not liked it, and now India is negotiating with the European Union that how we can ensure that India doesn't gets impacted. So for this particular thing, India and EU will explore ways. As of now, nothing final has come in this particular direction, but they will try to resolve this particular issue. Now here what they have done, ambassadors, delegates, comments, I think this should happen, I think that, I think this, all these viewpoints have been given. Okay, so this is something that has happened. Now when this particular controversy will resolve, we'll see that what they have come out with the solution. Now the main practice question for today. So question reads, with an aging population and a growing non-communicable disease burden, discuss how equipped is India to deal with large-scale serious health-related sufferings. So this will be the question related to the GS paper number 2, health. Fine. So that is all, guys, about this particular article. Okay, and with this we come to an end to the today's session. Guys, I hope that you have understood it. So that is all. And if you have liked it, please do hit the like button. Thank you so much, guys. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till